Good evening, Simon here, Explosive Action. I am back for a Thrash update. Got one CD and 4 LPs to take a look at, so let's get into it. In the background, we're listening to full-length album by Luminiferous Ether, Sydney one-man black thrash band. This came out just on a year ago, March last year. Limited to 100 copies, out on Sunshine Ward Records. Full-length album. You can find it floating around. I've seen it in Repressed Records in the city. I'm not sure if it's a handful of copies maybe went overseas. I'm not too sure, but I have seen copies floating around in person. Really, really cool, ugly black thrash from the drummer, or ex-drummer from Convent Guild, because that band's now disbanded. Brent is his name, and this is his one-man project. Very cool stuff. First up, we'll look at the CD, the one CD, finally reissued with the original band name and the original artwork. Incubus Serpent Temptation. Absolutely raging death thrash from 1988. I did say it's a thrash update, but this counts. This totally counts. This is a great, great album for thrash fans that don't like much death metal. It's also equally good for death metal fans that don't really listen to much thrash. It's one of those. It's like Demolition Hammer. Everyone's gonna like it. Absolutely stellar album. I never picked up a copy with the silly renamed thing, Opprobrium. Never liked that. And they kept the artwork, but they crammed in, like, it's like they used the same lettering for Opprobrium and then just made it really thin and squished. It just looked stupid, and it sounded stupid. Incubus is the name. Just because some crap new metal band came out in, early 2000s, they had to change their name. Sorry, these guys were here first. This came out in 1988. The name of the band is Incubus. I will die on this hill. It's got a really cool early example of blasting in death thrash. 1988. I did say that. Weren't doing it that often in 1988 era death metal or extreme thrash. Actual blasting. Not so prevalent in that era, but yeah, you get it here. First track, second track, it's throughout the album, and that's what makes it go from thrash to death thrash. I think it does have that extra extremity in it. It's got its fair share of groove though. Like, it is still thrash, and it's got that late 80s thrash where it's it's not as primitive anymore. They've been starting to play around with a bit more groove in it. It's got a bit more bounce to it. Same kind of thing in here, just a bit deathy as well. Wild, frenetic solos. They are all over the place. Really, really fantastic. I like the drums are at the forefront of this mix. Right up the front, nice and punchy. I love drums. I love it when they're at the front. It's always the instrument I gravitate towards anyway, so fantastic. The vocals are sort of snarled, but they do remain the thrash vocal. You can understand it. It's a bit like Schizophrenia, Beneath the Remains era, Max Cavalera. Like, it's deathy, but it's still thrashy, and you can still understand it. The second album after this one, which was called Beyond the Unknown, that's the one I knew for years. That is just straight up 1990 nuclear blast death metal. Like, there's no thrash left in that. That's a death metal album. The Serpent Temptation has thrash running through its evil veins. Take a quick look inside here. There's the CD. It's the booklet. Quickly get it out, have a look inside. So reproduced all the lyrics and got some photos. Got to have a thrash collage, another band photo there. So yeah, really good reissue here. This is out on Brutal Records. BR. Never heard of them. I mean, it almost sounds like some kind of bootleg label, but yeah, Discogs doesn't tell me it is, so I assume that they're not. They're legit. So yeah, CD reissue out on Brutal Records. Not sure if they resolved the band name problem or if they just don't care anymore. The new metal band's probably dead and buried, so whatever. Incubus, perhaps here to stay with that name, makes me happy. So there you go. Serpent Temptation, get it out on Brutal Records. Fantastic reissue. Now, if you saw my last shopping video, you would have briefly seen me show and talk about this one. I'm going to show it again, talk a bit more about it. This is At War, Ordered to Kill. Love that cheesy as hell cover. Just take a photo in the woods. Everybody hold their prop guns. Hopefully they're prop guns, and just, yep, there's your album cover. Absolutely outstanding stuff. 1986 thrashy debut from a US power trio. I love the skulls. I actually hadn't noticed that. The skulls on the logo. Great stuff. Definitely rooted in, like, heavily rooted in Motorhead. That's obvious. But way more thrash, of course. Bunch of Venom in here, but less evil and more war, you know. I know they're a US band. I know that, but Order to Kill sounds more like British. It sounds like, you know, Death Wish or something along those lines. Kind of, yeah, it's probably because they're going for the Motorhead sound, you know, British, but I don't know. That's what I get from this one anyway. Lots of rolling double kicks, lots of tom rolls. I love hearing tom rolls. It always makes me think of, you know, like Mid-era Slayer or something. Lots of tom rolls. Mainly sort of repetitive, straightforward riffs. You know, it's like I said, it's the simple rock and roll sound of Motorhead, but it is thrash. Like, no ways about it. It's a thrash album. Songs like the awkwardly named and lyrically worse Rape Chase, perhaps. Okay, but anyway, they owe a lot to Overkill from Motorhead. You know, let's put the lyrics aside and even the song name, but yeah, there's so much of just Overkill in that song. Most of the songs just base themselves on just a double kick that just goes and goes and goes, and that's, yeah, it's like Overkill, and they just use that as a template the whole way, which is really cool. The side B opener is in fact The Hammer, which is a Motorhead song, so they're not hiding this influence from anybody at this point. You know, they're wearing it on their sleeves. The vocalist Paul Arnold on that cover actually sounds like he's really trying to emulate Lemmy. He does it a little bit on the rest, but on that cover he's really giving it all his gop on that one to sound like Lemmy. You know, it's a really good cover, I think. The second last song on the album, which is brilliantly titled Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS, which is obviously named after the movie. Just to ram home that this is a war-themed album. Opens with a Hitler speech, God knows what he's saying, something German, and then the lyrics. If you've seen the movie, you can probably work out what the lyrics are about, but the chorus is just shouted out, Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS. Ilsa, for torture, she's the Nazis' best. She'll put your body to the test. Yeah, that's what you get with this one. It's a fun album. It's quite primitive. I really like it, though. I already had the 1987 follow-up, which is called Retaliatory Strike. I think I prefer that one. The tongue is less in the cheek, I think, on that one. It's just a bit of a better album overall. But this is still lots of fun. It's a good album. No slouch. It's out on New Renaissance Records. Take a quick look inside. Not sure if it had a lyric one. If it did, I didn't get one, but yeah, not much to show you. There's the old anti-static sleeve, and just, yeah, black with green war-like camouflage in a label. Nothing too exciting to show you there, but anyway, yeah, At War, Order to Kill. Very fun little thrash album. Previous update, I showed second-tier German thrashers Living Death, and I feel that the next two albums I'm going to show are in the same kind of basket. The first one here, this is Darkness. I've actually wanted this one for quite some time. Didn't think I'd be able to land it locally, but I got lucky. I get lucky quite a bit. Darkness. This is Death Squad. It's a German, pretty primitive from 1987. Thrash, of course. These guys were definitely listening to a lot of Destruction's Infernal Overkill. That is very, very obvious. I love the band cartoon thing. If you go through all their subsequent albums, they keep this theme. They might even be the same artist, or they're trying to emulate it or something, I don't know, but it's got similar drawing on it, which is really cool. Raw, straight ahead, furious thrash, mostly leaving melody to the other bands. There's an exception. There's some Spanish guitar on the opening track, you know, gives it a little bit of a flourish there, but you know, it's mainly just going for the jugular, this one. It stands out like a sore thumb is the intro. It's got like birds tweeting and an air raid siren over this Spanish guitar. It's kind of just stands out, and then bang, we're going in for German thrash. I don't know, it kind of works because the air raid siren, you know, whatever, very, very war themed. But then it smashes in with a fantastic 1-2 punch of, we'll take a look here, Critical Threshold and the title track Death Squad, barely cracking 3 minutes each, and they're so furious and fast. It's just proper, just, oh, it's really quality thrash. I really, really dug that double act there. The whole album's really good, but those first 2 tracks after the intro, bang, bang, really good stuff. Exactly what I wanted from something like this. It's got like just cutthroat riffs, jangly bass, like it just jangles around the background, pummeling drums. I love the drum sounds on this, and the vocals are just blurred out. They're just blah, blah, blah. That's darkness. Like it's barked, it's blurred out. Great stuff. I liked it. Some tracks do slow down, but you know there is just a general speediness for this whole thing. Burial at Sea on the B-side, that was a particularly strong standout for me. It has a real nice, tasty main riff, and this one sort of stays in the mid pace. Really like that track. It's sort of like toe tapping speed, you know, really just rocking out kind of track. I thought it was good fun. The last track, Phantasmagoria, it's one of the fastest tracks on the album. Nice companion to Critical Threshold at the start there. Really good closer to the thing. Look at these guys here on the back. There's Lackey. Lackey the drummer. He's looking pissed off. Look at this shirt. Looks like it was just, he probably made it himself. That's outstanding. This guy's looking like he's going to eat the microphone over here. That's Ollie. He's got his bullet bill. Anyway, I'm spending too much time looking at the photos because they're so glorious. Yeah, these guys worked on plenty of demos in like 85 and 86 before releasing this. Like 5 demos it took to get this album out. But it was worth it. It's a shame these guys were not bigger. I could sort of see why. I mean, at this period, if you weren't Destruction Sodom creator, it was going to be very hard to break through. These guys are still going though. They've got their fan base. They're still going. But I'm loving this debut from them. I want to get the follow-up album as well. That one's meant to be in a similar vein. Quite a classic bit of German thrash there too. So on the hunt for that one. And like I said, yeah, they're still kicking. I think something came out in 2020. Something like that. Lyrically, it's all very horror. Look at this. It's you know, nighttime, demons, ghouls. The word bomb is used a lot. Iron fists also comes up quite a lot in the lyrics. German thrash, man. Take a look inside. Again, I didn't get an inner sleeve. I don't know if it came with one or not. Out on Tales of Thrash, which is a brilliant label there. Scratch Records, Tales of Thrash. And what I learnt with this, and I had it confirmed on Discogs, is that the Inner Circle label are either reversed or they're mixed up. It depends which copy you got. On mine, side A is side B and side B is side A. Some people are saying both stickers say side B for them. I don't know. It's just no quality control back in 1987 when this thing came out. But anyway, it's a good album. Lots of good fun. As I said, they're still kicking along. The core drummer, the core guitarist are still in the band. The rest of the guys are changed up. I haven't heard the new stuff, but anyway, this is Death Squad. Good fun thrash from Germany, 1987. Staying in Germany, here we are again. Necronomicon, the Ancient Nightmare. Not that it says so anywhere on the cover, but it is what it's called. It doesn't even say it on the spine. But the Ancient Nightmare from Necronomicon. The second album from this band out in 1987. The self-titled from the year before, 1986. Very similar to Darkness. It really is, but even more dark. Darker than Darkness. It is, you know, the themes on this one just seem to be a bit more ghoulish. I mean, look at that. Head on a pike and wizard or whatever's going on here. It's called Necronomicon. I mean, reading from the Evil Spellbook, there it is, Necronomicon. But anyway, its roots are still, again, very early Destruction. Seems they have that Darkness sound. Bits of early Sodom in there too, which is why it has that more evil sound to it. You know, the first, you know, Obsessed by Cruelty kind of Sodom mixed in with that early Destruction. Good mix there, Necronomicon. It is more primitive. The vocals sound kind of drunken. I like that. Very amateurish. I think might have been a problem for them. These guys I mean, if Darkness were B tier, I think Necronomicon were, you know, approaching C. I hadn't even heard of them. Again, though, they're still kicking. Another band that's still going. Don't know what they sound like, but they're still going. They've got the fan base, I suppose. The solo, this is one thing I liked. The first track here on this one, yeah, the Ancient Ones. The solo on that, I swear that was improvised, and the guitar was out of tune. And I'm not going to say that's the same for the rest of the album, but it does sort of set an example that this whole thing is just rough and ready. Plug it in, let's go. That's what I get from this one. And it's good fun. It's good, enjoyable fun. I mean, these kids look pretty young at this point. Except for this guy here with his mustache. He doesn't look too young. He looks like the ringing. I don't know. Overall, it's a solid album. It's a big collection of riffs. You know, some of the songs might be generic as a whole, but they're made up of a nice bunch of riffs. So it's a good album. I enjoy it. Execution might not be 100%. As I said, a bit sloppy at times. But it's still good fun. I did enjoy this one. It spends a lot more time in the mid-pace than Darkness do. They're a bit more for the jugular. It's a bit more slowing down here with Necronomicon. And that does sort of lend itself to being a bit more, I don't want to say background music, but it's, because it's less challenging, it's easy to just digest and go with it. So I like it. It's good. It does still rage out at sometimes. But yeah, it's a great album. Good fun. Well, I say great album. It's a very good album. I won't overuse the word great. This is on Scratch Core. Take a look inside. And yet again, no lyrics. Either I'm very unlucky. Scratch Core. Nothing too exciting. Either I'm very unlucky or it just didn't come with one. So whatever. Necronomicon with The Ancient Nightmare. Nice fun piece of thrash from Germany, 1987. I may as well stay in Germany because it's just so nice there. And we're going to end up on Death Row, Deception Ignored. Third album from these these German thrashers. The only other one I've got from them is their second album. I don't have their first. I am on the hunt, but now I have the third, Deception Ignored. This is good. They've really they've refined a lot by this point. I think a lot of bands did that. You know, third time's the try. I think is the charm. You know, the third album is the one where everything starts to align. It's their Master of Puppets, and it even starts with a riff that kind of reminded me of Battery. It's that sharp, chuggy guitars, but you know, the lead work on here, man, so much better than Kirk Hammett. Great lead work on this album, really, really good stuff. The similarities did fall away pretty quickly from, you know, a Metallica reference. When the vocals kicked in, reminded me of Heathen. Sort of very clean vocals, even getting high at some points. The guitars get a bit more progressive. I started hearing a bit of Coroner. That's, you know, always where I go when I hear sort of 80s thrash that has prog elements into it, a bit of Coroner. Clean production, twin guitars just ringing out, absolutely having a whale of a time with the guitars on this one. It's I don't want to quite say virtuoso, but yeah, the lead guitars really do stand out on this. A nice satisfying bass presence and just punchy drums. Lots of Gene Hogan style double kick barrages. I loved hearing that, just like the little patterns, like the bunch of double kicks and then do something else, and then just a bunch of double kicks, do something else. Very Gene. Liked hearing that in here. There's the band on the back there. Yeah, as I said, definitely more refined. It's the upmarket thrash album from, you know, going up from Riders of Doom and Raging Steel. The third track on this one, Triocton, 8 minutes and 30 seconds instrumental. You know, it's very you got to know your shit to be able to pull that stuff off, and they did very much. That reminds me of something like Hexenhaus, The Edge of Eternity. I could totally hear them doing that. Really, really nice instrumental. Only the third track in too. So yeah, it just goes on a nice journey, very progressive, and yeah, really good stuff. The whole album is really good. I reckon it gets even more progressive as it goes on. Side B, quite wacky at times. The Narcotic was a 9-minute 20 track, and yeah, there you go. Out on Noise Records. Did I get an inner of this one? Sort of. There's the lyrics and the old noise collage. All the things that you need to buy. I've got plenty of these ones, but It's always fun to get that on here. My tape just stopped. That's what the clicking was. So yeah, there you go. Deception Ignored by Death Row. Very happy to have this on the collection. It's not that hard to find. It's been on eBay a few times. It's always been priced just a little bit silly. Didn't think I should be paying $70 for it. So I waited until I could get it cheaper, and I did. So very happy to finally get it. And there you go. That is Death Row Deception Ignored. That's the last one in this all thrash update. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like, subscribe, check out that thing, and I'll see you all next time.